And now I'd like to turn to your part in medical neuroscience. Well, here comes the hard message that I have to deliver for you on the first day of the course. And that is that I'm asking an awful lot of you. Now, for those of you who've taken other courses in Coursera, you're probably used to hearing from the professor that you only need to devote about 4 to 6 hours a week to be successful in this course. Well, that's just not going to do it in medical neuroscience. You really need to step up your commitment if you intend to follow the plan for successful completion of the course. This is a course that is pitched at a higher level than most of the other courses in the Coursera catalog. I want you to know that. This course is as close as I can make it to a medical neuroscience course that would be taught in the first year of medical school following attainment of a baccalaureate degree and preparation for medical school in the fundamental topics that pertain to biology, and chemistry, and anatomy, and in physiology. If you're not comfortable with your background in that area, then I would encourage you to follow along as best you can. I'm not saying that you should just leave the course now, but what I am saying is that you should understand that you may not have enough background to understand all of the principles that I'll be exploring with you. I'm going to do my best to simplify and to perhaps even reduce the content to the essence of what I think you need to know. Nevertheless, I will make some assumptions about your background knowledge. So for example, I'm going to assume that you know the basic structure of a eukaryotic cell. So when I talk about a nucleus or a mitochondrion, I expect that you know what those structures are. If you don't, well, then just know that you're going to have to do some additional background work to keep pace. So within this 16 to 20 hours of effort per week, you can expect about 4 to 6 hours of video tutorials from me. Now I know that's a lot. My face is going to be in front of you for at least those many hours each and every week that you are active in this course. But I also expect that you will have some time when you're not watching my videos that you will be reflecting upon my notes, perhaps doing some reading if you choose to acquire the textbook. And I expect that you might spend some time in the discussion forum as well, interacting with your peers around the world who, like you, are coming together to study the human brain in medical neuroscience. So all in all, I think 16 to 20 hours per week is about the right number. Maybe a few hours less. For some of you, it may even be a few hours more, but I truly don't believe it will be more than just a few hours, more than 20 hours a week for everyone. Well, to assist you in your learning and to hold you accountable for what you're learning, I will be giving you quizzes every week. And there will be some period of time in which those quizzes are open. I will allow you to take these quizzes multiple times, but there are limits, so please do read the instructions carefully on the website as you are ready to confront each weekly quiz. There will be a set of peer-assessed assignments that I want you to do. As you'll see, I believe in making your knowledge visual and visible and accountable, and these peer-assessed assignments are one means that will allow you to do just that. Towards the end of the course, there will be 2 summative assessments. There will be a final exam, which will be the very last activity in medical neuroscience, but a couple of weeks before the end of the course, there'll be an exam directed specifically at functional neuroanatomy. So that exam will come just a little bit before the end of the course at a time at which you will be ready for that assessment, but it also leaves a gap between the neuroanatomy exam and the final exam so that you can learn from your neuroanatomy exam experience and address any additional areas where your knowledge needs to be improved before we come to our final. And I mentioned discussion forum participation. I do want you to be active in the discussion forum, and your participation will be reflected in your final assessed score for your performance in medical neuroscience. And you can find more details about that under the grading tab on our website. Now I'd like to conclude this welcome message by just giving you some tips on how I think you can best learn in medical neuroscience. So these are just my ideas based on my understanding of how the brain works and my nearly 20 years now experience as an educator at the university. But I've not actually tested out these methods. So please don't take this as educational dogma. Rather, just take it as some advice and some insight based on my experience in the field of neuroscience as well as in the classroom. So, how to learn? Well, I would say follow the path. That is, follow the path that I'm laying out for you here in medical neuroscience. I'm giving you tutorials to watch, I'm giving you notes to read, and I'm directing you towards supplemental reading if that mode of learning and understanding especially appeals to you. So I would encourage you to simply stay on the path. That doesn't mean there can't be fun if you get off the path, or there can't be something to learn, something to discover that reflects some side branch from that main path. Please do explore. Please do follow your own curiosity. But I would encourage you not to stray too far. And if you do find yourself off the path, try to get back on. And that will allow you to keep pace and to continue to follow what is my best advice for you in terms of how you can be successful. So my tip number one is simply to follow the path of learning that I've laid out for you. My second tip is to visualize your knowledge. Now, the little image that just showed up here in the upper right, this is a drawing from one of my classes on campus. That was an assignment that students had to collaborate on a whiteboard and make a drawing with labels and with some degree of anatomical accuracy. I think this is a fantastic way to learn, because when you make visual your knowledge, then you make it accountable to yourself and to anybody else you might be studying with. So I'm going to encourage you to draw. I'm going to encourage you to model. I might even encourage you to act out what you know, but to do that in the presence of other people so that what you understand to be true can be confirmed or improved through your interactions with other people. Now, I'm a big believer in visual learning and spatial learning. So here's what I mean by this. I think you should learn spatially. I think that you should conceptualize in your mind a space. And that space contains your knowledge, your understanding. And when it comes to the field of neuroscience, I think this works really well, because after all, the brain occupies some space, and our anatomical knowledge provides us with a way to fill that space with knowledge and understanding. So this image happens to come from an art installation in Washington, D.C., and that's my son in the middle of this artistic work. And I think this was just brilliant on the part of the artists. There are maybe 10,000 small blue fibers hanging down from the ceiling. And the artist invites the individual to walk through this space and to be immersed in this work of art. That's how I want you to learn, especially functional neuroanatomy. I want you to imagine yourself walking through the brain. And this will be especially important when we consider the long pathways of the nervous system. As I walked through this installation with my son, I couldn't help but to think that I was walking through the white matter of the nervous system. If you can think that way, if you can learn that way, then I think what you'll do is you will take advantage of what your brain is really good at, which is mapping your world. The brain is much better at mapping our world than it is at acquiring semantic knowledge. And I think if we can combine these two modes of learning, combine our semantic knowledge with our spatial knowledge, then we build association, and our learning will be all that much more strong and all that much more indelible. Finally, my last tip for you is to learn socially. I think we are social creatures. We possess social brains that want to interact with other human beings. And I think the more that we can learn in community, the more that we can learn socially, the more accountable we can be, and the more we can actually improve our learning and our understanding. There's, I think, no better measure of your understanding than your ability to instruct another person. So I hope that you can do this within our learning community in medical neuroscience via the discussion forum. I hope that you can do this in person. I hope that you might find the ability to call out other students in this class that might be living in your same city and might be available to meet up, let's say on a Saturday morning at a coffee shop or at a public square, to get together, to meet one another, and to talk about what you're learning this week in medical neuroscience. I hope that you'll have a chance to share with your friends and family what you've learned, to see how well can you explain the phenomenon of, well, synaptic plasticity, for example. If you can engage your friends and family, even for 5 minutes, and explain to them what you've learned, I think you'll get a great measure of your knowledge and understanding. So, follow the path, visualize your knowledge, learn spatially, and learn socially in community. And I think you'll be successful in medical neuroscience. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your first introduction to this course. And again, I'm so happy that you're willing to join me. I think it's going to be a really fun ride. I think we're going to be challenged. We're going to have some ups and some downs. But if you follow the path and stick with me to the end of this course, I think you'll just be amazed at how much you've learned through this incredible new medium that we have here in Coursera. So I look forward to seeing you as we begin our lessons and study the anatomy of the human brain and then move in to consider the basis of neural signaling. I can't wait to get started, and I look forward to seeing you back here soon.